I hope you don't get the sickness.
My boy Kurt is a stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedle dumb, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leaves him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay-at-home Disney dad.
It's our 53rd episode. Let's look at Herbie the Love Bug. We start with an ad for the Herbie Quidology. Is that what it is? They made 4 of these movies, and this is one of the official Love Bug collection. Then, of course, more ads. In October, Disney drops Old Yeller, Alice in Wonderland, and The Jungle Book. The narrator tells us to go to the Disney selection of your movie rental store. George of the Jungle ad, another home video ad for Beauty and the Beast's Enchanted Christmas. Feature presentation time. Okay, is this thing possessed? Is it like Christine? I vaguely remember these movies. Like, I must have seen an ad for them when I was like maybe 5. I know the Love Bug drives on its own, and in Disney World's All-Star Movie Resort, they still have a Herbie section. And I always joke about really wanting to stay there every time we plan a trip, just to see the crushed look on my children's faces. Sorry, Herbie. Music by Frank DeVille. Okay, we start with some dashing man from the 70s or early 80s. He gets off a bus. His name is Pete. His best friend is DJ. They've been gifted Herbie by Pete's uncle, and they're there to pick it up and take it so they can race it in the Grand Prix in Rio de Janeiro. Flim Flam from the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo runs up and catches up with them. Puerto Vallarta is actually where they currently are. They like this kid because he's, quote, not a beggar. Now we transition to a boardroom. There's like a businessman who's looking at negatives. That must be an absolute mind bender for the younger generations. I'm not even going to explain to you how cameras and film used to work. Go ask your grandpa if you have no idea what's happening here. Okay, there's a couple of sketchy dudes or like bad guys who say they found these Inca treasures in the jungle. They want cash and plenty of it because it's bad news if they get caught stealing the artifacts. One bad guy is smoking. Awesome. You don't see that anymore. The businessman says, they are in business. Okay, so back to the main characters. They get Herbie and they take it for a spin. Now the kid runs into the bad guys as they're leaving the businessman's building. But he actually like physically runs into them, like he bumps into them and then gives them these weird hugs. They toss the kid away and the one guy actually like tries to punt him in the butt as he leaves. That happened. Okay, the kid is a pickpocket. That makes sense. The kid runs away, and the 2 main characters inside Herbie now notice their wallets are also gone. They see the kid, they chase him, they pop out of Herbie, and they chase Flim Flam on foot. Here we go. It's one of these movies. They trip and they stumble, they run through houses, and they get caught up in clothes hanging on clotheslines, and just next level bumbling occurs here. This is kind of what I expected of this movie. Now the bad guys realize they've also been victims of theft, and okay, the film strip is gone. The kids stole it with their wallets. Credit for this? This is a fun plot so far. Everyone is looking for this thief kid. Pete and DJ finally nab him. They threaten to, quote, tan his bottom, but they get their stuff back. They walk away, and then the bad guys find the kid as well, and they chase him. Now the cops are after this kid too. This is all like slapstick visual comedy, but for real, this kid's name is Paco, but I'm just going to call him Flim Flam because I enjoy doing that. The visual gags continues. The kid hides behind a fat lady. In another scene, he peeks out from a wicker basket. And this is too old for you to try to tell me the scene was supposed to be ironic. Like, they did this for real. He hides in a wicker basket. Herbie rolls up outside the store with the kid in the wicker basket inside, and he pops the front trunk. Pops the front trunk. The kid has to choose between staying inside the wicker basket or hopping into Satan's self-driving car. And of course, he makes a break for it and pops in the front trunk of the car that drives away. The music in this scene is twice as loud as the rest of the movie. Okay, weird. Pete and DJ actually were in the car when it drove away. They didn't notice the trunk opening and a kid jumping in. You know, never mind, it doesn't matter. Herbie takes off on his own and does a pop a wheelie. Why are you driving like that? I'm not doing anything. One police officer talking to the bad guys in this next scene must have been a real police officer, or he won like a fan contest to appear in this movie because he's not even trying to hide the fact that he's obviously reading his lines off a cue card. and knows nothing about acting. If anything, he monotones his lines while trying not to laugh and look into the camera. The car pops onto a roll-on, roll-off transport ship, and we're off to Rio. The civilians on the ship are all hoity-toity. We meet an evil captain of the ship. I think he's telling stories about how he tortured people. What is happening? Maybe this isn't a roll-in, roll-off. Maybe it's just a regular cruise liner that is somehow transporting Herbie. The captain keeps yelling, "Thrust!" at some high-class dinner table. It's kind of like Titanic, except for the thrust. Pete and DJ are now on the board the boat, and we meet the aunt with her nerdy daughter. And when I say nerdy, I mean she's obviously absolutely gorgeous, but her hair is in a ponytail and she's wearing thick glasses. I wonder if she'll take those rascals off and be a bombshell later in this movie. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Okay. I guess the rumor is that Herbie already won a Grand Prix, so yeah, they're taking Herbie to race in the next Grand Prix in Rio. Some boat hand or seaman, if you will, sits and eats his dinner in the cargo area where Herbie is, and then the phone rings, so he goes to answer it. As he's gone, Herbie inches forward, pops the front truck open. The kid pops out, swipes the food. Guess what? Dude comes back, rubs his fork and knife together, licks his lips, and his food is gone. We get the line, "Who ate up my chicken?" Yeah, we do. He thinks the car itself ate the chicken. He gets a damn crowbar, but Herbie, with no driver, drives away. Everyone chases the car, but it gets away. The chicken man calls the mean captain, who tells him he can't drink on the job, which is pretty funny. Mean captain gets even meaner, goes below deck and sees the ghost car driving around with nobody, but the seamen catch him in a net. Just so you know, I meant to say that. They catch a car in a net. Then they find the thief kid in the trunk. Okay. The mean captain kept talking about whipping people with a cat of nine tails. I didn't mention it because I thought it would just like go away or wasn't important, but no, he has Pete and DJ in his office and he's got the actual whip in his hand. Mean captain says he's going to drop the charges of human smuggling and the kid will be returned to his native country when they dock. Now there's a costume party on the boat and a jazz version of Staying Alive is playing, and it's awesome. The aunt is dressed like Bo Peep and her daughter is dressed like a nerdy zookeeper, or I don't know. She's dressed like someone who would proudly pose beside a dead elephant holding a shotgun in a picture they post on social media. Pete is dressed like a spaceman now and is slow dancing with the zookeeper. He says all the right things and then takes off her hat and glasses, and guess what? She's a 10, all right. I love how these movies work. Like, whomever the actress is actually a really, really beautiful woman. And you could always tell that, even when she had her glasses on. But apparently, no guy has ever paid attention to her because of those glasses. Okay, all right. I'm even more confused now. I guess they're scamming the lady and her daughter. I guess they tricked the aunt into buying the car. So Pete was just seducing the daughter as part of a bigger plan. But now Pete is in love with her. So that must actually be DJ's aunt, because if it was Pete's aunt, Hot Beekeeper would be his own cousin. I guess I'm confused. Maybe this will all sort itself out soon. Okay, Herbie and the kid are in separate cages in the boat cargo room. Wow, like they put a kid in the cage. Could you imagine that happening for real? Herbie communicates with Flim Flam using a series of sad horn beeps. I guess Herbie isn't in a cage. He's out in the open. I'm failing all of you this review. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the Herbie movie. He uses his antenna to reach through the bars, and he gets the keys, which of course are hanging on the wall on a giant key ring. He gives it to the kid. The kid unlocks his cage and gets out, but the dude, "Where's my chicken?" guy sees this and narks back on the phone to the captain. The kid is inside Herbie now, and they get into an elevator. All right, Herbie is going topside, and sure enough, he makes a spectacular entrance by speeding into the party and knocking the mean captain into the cake. Mwah, mwah. Captain is going to pitch Herbie into the sea because of this. The aunt begs the captain, quote, "As a desperate single woman, I beg you." See, she's willing to sleep with him to keep him from. Oh, wow, he's actually making Herbie, like, walk the plank. He says, "Seaman, do your duty," and that's a money line to sneak in this movie. They tip Herbie overboard, and he plunges into the water. The camera op almost misses it, and my heart breaks for him. It was an amazing shot. I mean, this was pre-CGI, so they 100% dumped the bug off the side of a ship for real, and the camera op probably only had one shot at it, and he didn't tilt fast enough. Tough day at the office. They dock and the bad guys are there to grab the kid, but the kid elbows one in the crotch and runs away. Then suddenly the love bug floats to shore. I guess Flim Flam got away because in the very next scene, he's already sitting on a dock fishing with no cares in the world. And Herbie swims up to him. A bunch of jerk derelicts pull the car to shore, and Herbie is all broken, and they laugh at the kid, and the kid says, "The car was his friend," and they say, "Your friend is junk and good for nothing." Sad music. Wow. Herbie rusted quickly. Come on, Herbie, be like Christine and rebuild yourself. Kid says goodbye and walks away, but Herbie tries starting. The kid pep talks him, and he roars to life like Satan turns the key. Montage of Herbie driving down a seaside highway with a kid hanging out the sunroof. Wherever he drives, a crowd of kids run behind him like he's one of the Beatles. It's weird. The bad guys get the kid. They want the film strip. The kid doesn't have it. He thinks maybe the wallets got mixed up and Pete and DJ have the wallet with the film strip in it. The bad guys tell him to get it back or else. Then one guy fires up a blowtorch. Wow. Oh, okay, no, he's gonna cut the car with a blowtorch. Okay, that's better. I thought they were threatening to like burn the kid. The kid agrees and then immediately goes outside and finds Pete and DJ. He cries and asks for forgiveness. He hugs them and steals their wallets again. Awesome. Now it's a race. The mean captain and the horny aunt end up with the kid and Herbie, and the bad guys are speeding after them, and then Hot Niece buys a bus for $315 from a crappy tour company, and her and Pete and DJ join the chase. I'm not sure what the joke was there, but I finally hear her name for the first time. Hot Niece's name is Melissa. Herbie and the bad guy car both end up in a bullfighting arena. What is happening? Here we go. The bull wipes his feet and the bad guys sweat. The angry crowd starts pelting both cars with garbage. Flim Flam, the captain, and the aunt are still inside Herbie. Captain asks the kid to get them out of there. He says he's not worried about himself, but he's worried about the lady. She says, "How thoughtful," and he says, "Shut up" to her. Yeah, that was 80s humor, I guess. The bull chases around Herbie and rams it a few times, and okay, like this must have happened for real. Like someone drove this car around as a real bull smashed into it to get this footage. Herbie gets the red cape and toros it with his trunk. The crowd thinks this is fun, and they're not wrong. A few times when you lean into ridiculous, it actually works, and this scene is like riding on that line. Herbie tires out the bull and everyone cheers for them. The lady gets out of the car and bows, and the captain gets out and falls on his face. The kids still inside Herbie speed away while the bad guys keep the chase going. The bus, the other three bot putts along. The bad guys are looking for Herbie in a plane now. Okay, Melissa is suddenly all confident and sassy and is just needling Pete. Flim Flam is finally in the clear and turns Herbie into a taxi. That's the new business model. He's gonna go legit. Their first clients as a company are the bad guys. Whoops, yeah. The bad guys called for a cab and grabbed the kid. Didn't think that one through. Flim Flam yells for Herbie as they stuff him into the plane. Herbie comes speeding behind the plane as it takes off. You blew it, Herbie. The plane got away. The bad guys use the film to locate the artifacts. It's raining. They find it. They take one giant round gold piece with them. It's like a manhole cover. And they say they'll come back with tools and do the rest right. They toss the kid in the mud and say he's fine. They'll also come back for him later. Oof. The bus picks up the captain and the aunt. The kid is freezing in the rain. The rain finally stops. The kid's in the jungle in the middle of the night. They're like playing like rescuers music. I don't like it. We hear jaguars or something. He hides and then Herbie comes. Yeah. Herbie just drives into the jungle and finds the kid. Oh, and the bus is there as well. So the Inca Ruins burial site is apparently just off the main road and no one has ever found it. Okay, the bad guys haven't loaded up the giant gold disc yet and Herbie drives by and they grab it. One bad guy says, "There goes $1 million." And the other bad guy gets a close up. It looks really sinister and says, "No way." Herbie comes out of the jungle and he's completely covered in bananas. They go to the professor of Inca civilization, who is that guy in the very first scene, but the bad guys are one step ahead and waiting for them in this office. It's an ambush. Herbie finds the bad guys trying to load the giant gold disc onto the plane, and Herbie, here we go, starts opening its doors and hood violently, launching bananas at the bad guys who slip and fall because bananas. And here we have Herbie Goes Bananas. After a 5-minute montage of them slipping on bananas, they get the gold in the plane anyway. Now it's a race again. The plane is trying to take off, but Herbie is hot on their tail. Herbie's using his front hood like a mouth, and he chomps onto the back wing of the plane. The plane can't take off. The bad guys are also all in the plane, and they're covered in banana squish. And it's gross and uncomfortable to look at. You can somehow like smell it. And now Herbie's just ramming the plane. All this footage is sped up. I mean, like, I know they had to do it back in 1980, but it just still looks goofy. The back end of the plane finally breaks clean off and just the front end is driving away. Everyone else is tied up back at the professor's office. Now the aunt and the police are chasing the wingless front of the plane, and Herbie finally rams it, and the plane finally flips and comes to a stop, and it's over. The police get the bad guys. Mean captain is back on the ship and the aunt is dancing for him. We have this weird scene where the captain appears to be like sexually attracted to the dancing aunt and he's all mesmerized and he says, quote, "Anyone would want her rolling under them." But he's actually talking about the ship outside the window just past her. Everyone is okay and the nerd lady has glasses off and her hair down and guess what? She's stunning. They want Flim Flam, who of course is really named Paco, to race Herbie in the Grand Prix in Rio. Okay, the entire movie, Paco called Herbie Owenchai and they finally ask why. He says, because 8 minus 5, or 8 plus 5, 5 plus 3 is 8. and it means 8. Okay. It gave me horrible flashbacks of watching horrible movies in the mid-'80s when I was like 5. You never forget this style of TV. That was my first Herbie movie. Okay, well, 5 plus 3 is Oachi. 5 minus 3, that's the number 2. And that's kind of what most of this movie is. The number 2. Math joke.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channels that he's allowed to be employed for so long with the standards of journalism and personal appearance that he has. Thank you.